This is the third video in a 5-part series where I break down the hierarchy of the Van der Linde gang, and in this video I will break down each one of the women of the gang, and Pearson. We will begin this video with the character of Tilly Jackson. Tilly is the daughter of a former slave. Tilly became an outlaw at the age of 12, running with the Foreman brothers. At some point she killed Anthony Foreman's cousin by slitting his throat. Tilly had to run from that gang, and she had nowhere to go. Dutch Van der Linde encountered Tilly when she was in trouble. He raised her and taught her how to read. Tilly saw Dutch as a father figure, and she was very grateful towards Dutch. The first time we see Tilly in the main game is in the mission Polite Society Valentine Style. Tilly and a couple other women are taken into Valentine by Arthur and Uncle. Near the end of the mission, Tilly is confronted by Anthony Foreman, but he leaves after Arthur scares him off. In Chapter 3, you get the option to play dominoes with Tilly. She mentions something about murdering Mrs. Grimshaw. Arthur says that they like to avoid murder in the camp. Later in Chapter 3, you get the option to go rob a stagecoach with Bill and Tilly. The plane goes south and Bill loses his head, so Tilly ended up not being of much use to the robbery. At the start of Chapter 4, Tilly tells Grimshaw that she doesn't like the camp being so close to a safe house that the Foreman brothers use. Tilly later gets kidnapped by the Foreman brothers, and Grimshaw and Arthur go to save her. After killing most of the Foreman brothers there, Arthur captures the leader, Anthony Foreman. He gets the option to kill him or spare him. If Arthur spares Foreman, then you can later catch him for a bounty as John. In Chapter 6, after Como Driscoll's hanging, Tilly gives Arthur a letter from Mary Linton, and Tilly says that she isn't worth it. In the final mission of the game, Tilly takes Jack and hides with him during the Pinkertons' raid. She and Jack run from camp and inform all the major gunmen of the group that Abigail was taken. Most of them already left John to die on the train robbery, so why would they care about Abigail? Arthur and Sadie are the only ones to go rescue Abigail, against Dutch's wishes. Before leaving, he tells her to go to Copperhead Landing, and Arthur hands her some money. In the epilogue, you can find Tilly as John Marston in Saint Denis.
John Marston.
Miss Tilly.
That's Mrs. Tilly to you. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you? Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm well. Well and happy, and I miss you and Abigail.
She's well. Jack's well. All is well, I think. I never thanked you for what you did.
Oh, there's the trolley. I still think about all of you all the time. My life, it's different now.
Mine too. But I still see a bunch of Charles and Uncle and Sadie, so not quite so different as Abigail would like.
I married a lawyer. He's a fine man. We live in a house.
Us too.
I'm sorry, I've got to go. I'm late, but can I write to you and Abigail someplace?
Yeah, we're up at Beecher's Hope, over in Great Plains, West Elizabeth.
I'll try. Be well, John Marston.
This is the final time we see Tilly. Throughout the main game, Tilly is seen as the nicest gang member. She forms many strong bonds with almost every member of the gang. We can see that she likes Molly O'Shea more than the other women. This shows she is able to form bonds with people many others would consider annoying. Tilly also has a strong bond with the Marston family, and has a major soft spot for Jack Marston. Now on to the second character, Karen Jones. There's not much history on the character of Karen Jones. We know that at the latest she joined the Van der Linde gang in 1895, due to there being a conversation about a bank robbery she helped complete in 1895. Arthur and Uncle take Karen along with Tilly and Mary-Beth to Valentine. Tilly asks if they should have brought Molly O'Shea along, to which Karen responds that Molly is high society now and is too good for the likes of them. We can see by this reaction that she does not like Molly. When they reach Valentine, each of the girls go off to rob their own person. Karen enters the hotel with a drunken man, who becomes violent after Karen tries to rob him. He punches her in the face, and Arthur intervenes and rescues her. Arthur asks if she's okay, to which she replies that she's fine and that he only punched her. After Sean is rescued, we can tell that the pair have a thing for each other. In Chapter 3, Karen wants to go rob the Valentine Bank. She convinces Lenny, Bill, and Arthur to help her. In the heist, she goes into the bank as a distraction. The other three quickly go into the bank and loot it, and they have to shoot their way out of town. After Sean's death and the gang's moving to Shady Belle, Karen's alcoholism worsens as the gang situation gets worse. In a way, Karen's arc here is a direct opposite to Reverend Swanson's. As the game goes on, Karen's addiction gets worse, while Swanson cleaned up his drinking. Anyways, after the gang moves to Beaver Hollow, Karen's alcoholism is at the worst we see it. She's constantly berating Susan Grimshaw for shooting Molly, even though she rats out the gang.
You're a nasty woman, Miss Grimshaw, a nasty woman. You think I wanted to shoot her? You seem to like it. I saw that beady look in your eye. You're drunk again, and you're a fucking murderer. She broke the rules. She did no such thing. She was in love. You sour-faced old crow. Goddamn you, murderer! Murderer! I did what I had to do, Mr. Morgan.
Karen ends up abandoning the gang along with Pearson, Uncle, and Mary-Beth before the last mission of the game. Karen actually loved the outlaw life, dissimilar from most of the other women who resent it. She is also the only other woman besides Sadie Adler who can go on guard duty. Karen's character was another tragic one, and in a letter that Tilly sends to the Marsons, she said that she suspects Karen drank herself to death. We can't confirm or deny this, but from what I see in Beaver Hollow, I can safely assume that this is true. Next, on to the third character of this video, Mary-Beth. At some point prior to 1899, Mary-Beth got in trouble for stealing watches and wallets from some men. The Vanderlyn gang found her while being chased by her pickpocket victims. They rescued her and took her in. In the same mission I have already talked about, Mary-Beth goes to Valentine with the other women, Arthur and Uncle. She finds a lead about a train robbery. After Sean is rescued during the party, Mary-Beth asks Arthur to dance with her. The player can either accept or deny this. In a missable mission in Chapter 3, Mary-Beth helps Arthur and Sean rob a stagecoach. She distracts the driver, and Arthur and Sean start shooting. Mary-Beth is taken hostage by the guards, and Arthur saves her. Arthur and Mary-Beth share a conversation at the start of Chapter 4. Susan Grimshaw interrupts them to tell Arthur that Tilly has gone missing. At the beginning of Chapter 4, we see Mary-Beth and Kieran form a romance. Kieran goes missing after Jack's party, and Mary-Beth is concerned about his absence. She is the first person to notice Kieran's decapitated body riding into camp. A shootout starts with the O'Driscolls, and Mary-Beth later expresses her grief over his death. In a camp conversation in Chapter 6, Arthur can tell Mary-Beth that he is terminal. Mary-Beth offers her condolences to Arthur. She tries to cheer Arthur up by telling him to make his last days count. As the gang falls apart, Mary-Beth leaves the gang with Pearson, Uncle, and Karen. Mary-Beth's words to Arthur can be heard during Arthur's last ride, depending on whether he has low on her or high on her. By 1907, she has become a novelist that writes books about romance, similar to the ones we always saw her reading in camp. We can see her writing a book in the credits, and as John Marston, you can meet her at the Valentine train station.
John? John, is it you?
How the hell are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
Good. Yeah,
Abigail, is she?
she's well. Jack's growing up.
Sweet boy.
Not anymore. But he's okay. How are you?
I'm well. I write now. Silly romances, but it's fun. Oh, it's such fun.
Do you?
My pen name is Leslie Dupont. Sort of French, sort of ambiguous. Well, the books are unambiguously awful, but they sell.
Good for you. So proud.
I still think about you all. That was quite a time.
Yeah. Arthur. Arthur saved my life before he passed. I don't talk about him much, but I think about him.
Me too. And Dutch?
Ran off someplace.
All aboard!
Such a shame.
Last call!
Oh, anyway, John, I better get on my train. It's really lovely seeing you. Oh, here. It's for you.
Thank you. Take care now.
Bye!
In a letter that Tilly sends to the Marsons, she mentioned that her and Mary-Beth are still in contact. Throughout the game, we see Mary-Beth as a very compassionate and loving person who cares deeply about the others around her. Mary-Beth also got lucky. She got the life that she always wanted. She got to live how she wanted to live, unlike so many of the other gang members. The next character in this group is Molly O'Shea. Molly was born into a wealthy family in Dublin, Ireland. Molly grew bored of the rich life in Ireland and came to the United States in search of adventure. She met Dutch Vanderlinde and his gang at some point prior to 1899. She and Dutch became lovers, despite them constantly arguing. Her position as Dutch's lover let her avoid doing any work around the camp, which made a lot of the other women jealous. That led to many women disliking Molly. During the main story of Red Dead Redemption 2 and Coulter, Molly escorts Dutch into his room and she stays with him throughout the entire chapter. Throughout all of Horseshoe Overlook, all she does is stay in Dutch's tent. We can read one of her poems as Arthur, and it expresses her distaste for much of the gang and expresses her loneliness as well. During Sean's rescue party, Dutch invites Molly to dance with him. After moving to Clements Point, Molly and Dutch's relationship is in visibly worse condition. They are constantly getting into heated arguments, and we can see her spending much more time away from his tent. In the mission An Honest Mistake, Molly tries to speak with Arthur, but is rudely interrupted by Uncle.
Yes, Miss O'Shea.
Call me Molly, would you? Arthur, how is Dutch? I mean, how does he seem to you?
I'm about the same as usual, I guess.
I really love him, you know. But if he... Like he always says, loyalty is everything, so...
Arthur! Excuse me, Miss O'Shea.
What you want?
After the gang moves to Shadybell, she tries to talk to Dutch, but he states he is far too busy to talk right now. Dutch rides out with Arthur right after, and Arthur asks how they're doing.
Leave that girl. All I've got going on, and she wants to talk.
Everything okay with you two?
I got far more important things to worry about right now than Molly O'Shea.
So, where are we going?
We can see her mental health deteriorate in this chapter especially, spending time either in the corner of the manor or standing alone by the river. After the gang moves to Linde, following the disaster of a robbery that was the bank heist in Saint Denis, Molly disappears for a lengthy period of time. In my playthrough, I couldn't trigger any camp interactions of characters saying that they're worried, but I've heard that in other players' playthroughs, they've had Susan Grimshaw state her worry about Molly. Directly after the gang's relocation into Beaver Hollow, Uncle returns to camp with a very drunk Molly, who he found in Saint Denis.
You're back. How jolly, Miss O'Shea.
It's funny, you suck of shit.
Back
Who are
and
you?
drunk.
The Master, the Lord
Molly,
God Almighty.
calm down.
I won't be ignored. Dutch Vanderlyn, I am in him. I ain't her. Or any of your stooges.
Calm
You
yourself.
don't know me nothing.
Miss.
I don't know you nothing. Nothing.
Okay.
I'll spit in your eye. I did. I told them.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, I told them and I tell them again. Now I've got God's ear.
You told who what?
Mr. Milton and Mr. Ross about the bank robbery, and I wanted them to kill you.
You did what?
I loved you, you goddamn bastard! Go on,
She's
shoot
crazy.
me!
She ain't worth it. You told on me.
Oh, you're
You
not so
betrayed
big now,
me.
are you?
What? Calm down. Arthur?
She's a fool.
Get her out of here. You know the rules.
Oh, not so big now. Are we, Your Majesty?
You...
She knew the rules, Arthur. What the hell is wrong with you? Mr. Pearson, Mr. Williamson, get this body out of here and get it burnt.
Okay.
Now get back to work, all of you! Quit your lollygagging! Get back to work!
Most of the gang believed that she got what she deserved. The gang has always had the rule that if you rat out the gang, then you should be punished with death. The only two who are mad about Molly's death are Karen and Mary-Beth. Karen being so angry with her death is surprising, considering it was her that always talked bad about her behind her back. Mary-Beth isn't that much of a shock. She cares for everyone, no matter how much she is annoyed by them. In the final mission, when Arthur goes to rescue Abigail, Agent Milton tells Arthur who the real rat was. Arthur said that Molly was the rat.
Scruples. Old Micah Bell?
Micah? You mean Molly?
Molly O'Shea? Sweated her a couple of times, never talked a word, had to let her go. Micah Bell. We picked him up when you boys came back from the Caribbean, and he's been a good boy ever since.
Okay. Okay.
This shows Molly was indeed just drunk. She never even ratted out the gang. She just wanted some of Dutch's attention. Throughout the game, Molly is seen as prideful, lazy, and rude to many other gang members. But in the end, she just wanted Dutch's attention, and Dutch losing her interest in her led to her going down a slippery slope, which eventually led to her death. Next, we move on to the character of Abigail Roberts. Abigail was born in 1877. She was an orphan that was forced into prostitution to support herself. Eventually, Uncle introduced her to the Vanderlinde gang in 1894. She slept with much of the gang, but eventually fell in love with John Marston, becoming pregnant with their son, Jack. During this time, Abigail finally left behind her life of prostitution. John was a horrible father and temporarily left the gang in 1896. He was too scared of facing the responsibility of having a child. He returned to the gang in 1897 and was welcomed back in open arms by Dutch, Jose, and many others, but received resentment from leaving from Arthur. Abigail loved John and tried to get him to show interest in raising Jack. This resulted in arguments between the two, as John continued to be a deadbeat. Abigail first appears in the first mission of the game, and funny enough, the first word of the game was Abigail, said by Reverend Swanson. We can see her riding in the caravan with the rest of the gang, and once they get to Coulter, we can see her helping the others indoors. She is the one to break the news that Davy Callender died to his wounds. Not very long after, Abigail requests Arthur to go out into the mountains and find John. After some convincing from Jose and Javier, he goes out to find John with Javier. When John returns, Abigail scolds him for his actions. Before the train robbery at the end of Chapter 1, Abigail and Jack go to visit John. John shows zero interest in Jack, and Abigail becomes very mad at John for his disinterest. In Chapter 2, Abigail asks Arthur to take Jack out fishing. She is concerned about Jack and wants him to go do something. In Chapter 3, when Jack is taken by the Braithwaites, Abigail is horribly distraught. In Chapter 4, after John, Dutch, and Arthur rescue Jack from Angelo Bronte, she rushes to Jack and gives thanks to Dutch and Arthur. The gang end up throwing a party upon Jack's return. When the gang finally go to rob the Lemoyne National Bank, Abigail and Jose go to set off a distraction. The bank ends up being a trap, and Jose is taken by Milton, but Abigail is able to escape. After the bank job gone wrong, Abigail learns that John was arrested, and they are talking about hanging him. Abigail asks Dutch repeatedly to go rescue John, but Dutch is convinced John has lost loyalty. He won't say this out loud, but we can tell this is why he won't go rescue him. She goes to Arthur and Sadie, who immediately agree to go break John out. Abigail asks to come with them to break out John. They refuse, saying she would just be a liability. She agrees, but she isn't happy about it. When John returns to camp, she embraces him. Dutch gets very angry when he learns of John's prison escape. From this, Abigail begins looking for Dutch's money chest so they can escape the gang. During the train robbery, Abigail gets kidnapped by Agent Milton. The rest of the gang wants to leave her behind, but once again, Arthur and Sadie come to the Marston family's rescue. Arthur and Sadie go to free Abigail. Arthur goes in and starts to free Abigail, but then Arthur is held at gunpoint by Agent Milton. Arthur almost gets shot in the head, but Abigail comes to the rescue and shoots Milton in the head. Sadie, Tilly, Abigail, and Jack meet at Copperhead Landing, where they are eventually met by John. Not much is known about the period after the main game and before the epilogue, but we do know that the Marstons never stayed in the same area for a very long time, due to John's violent nature. In the first scene of the epilogue, we see Abigail berating John for shooting a man.
Yourselves.
By we, you mean me.
It wasn't me who went and shot him.
Seemed like he deserved shooting.
I'm sure he did. But I've been thinking, ain't it about time you stop being the man making them decisions?
I'm trying.
Are you?
I think so.
We gotta find someplace to lay low. Keep quiet.
Maybe Dutch was right. Maybe we should have just gone to Tahiti.
Is that it with you? Tahiti or killing? Come on, John. Please, try.
Try what?
We gotta live somewhere for more than just a few weeks.
Okay. Let's see what we can find in Strawberry. What do you know about Strawberry?
I know they like good, honest, hard-working men a whole lot more than angry killers. So make yourself good and honest.
I'm always honest. Maybe not always good, but I'm always honest.
My whole life I've been surrounded by fools with moral codes. Here's the moral code. Look out for folks. Stop trying to act like some hero in a book.
What do you know about heroes and books?
My reading's getting pretty good.
When they're in Strawberry, Abigail finds work at a doctor's office, and John gets a job on Pronghorn Ranch. During this time, Abigail becomes increasingly frustrated with John's behavior. He keeps getting into fights with the rival ranch gang, the Laramie Boys. At one point, John gets in a shootout with some men that knew who he was. He was with Jack at the time, and Jack was traumatized. This event causes Abigail to take Jack and to leave John. After John, Uncle, and Charles build a home on the land that John has recently purchased, John writes to Abigail, pleading for her to come back. She eventually returns to John with Jack and a new dog named Rufus. The two eventually take a trip into Blackwater, and John ends up proposing to Abigail. Even though they already considered themselves married, they never had an official wedding and were never truly married. The next morning, Sadie Adler says that she found Micah. John goes on a mission to finally kill Micah. Abigail pleads for him not to leave, but John says he has no choice and goes anyways. Everyone returns safely, and John tells her that it's all over. At some point over the next 4 years, John and Abigail have a daughter, but she dies quickly after birth. After 4 years of peace on the ranch, Abigail and Jack are kidnapped by Ross, and they force John to capture their old gang members. After weeks in captivity, Jack and Abigail are released back to their ranch. The four of them live happily for a few weeks, but then the ranch is assaulted by Ross and a large amount of U.S. military and bureau agents. Uncle is killed in the assault. John helps Abigail and Jack escape to the barn. John demands that they go without him and that he will catch up. The two share a last moment together, and then Abigail and Jack ride away. John accepts his fate and goes out of the barn to meet his fate. Hearing the gunshots, Abigail demands that Jack return to the ranch. When they get back, they find John's dead body. In 1914, Abigail dies from unknown causes, and Jack buries her next to John. Abigail was a very motherly character throughout both games, and always protected her son. She is constantly at odds with her husband, for his behavior and habits of being an outlaw. She dislikes how John constantly endangers their family in the name of revenge and redemption. The next character is Sadie Adler. On September 7th, 1896, she married Jake Adler, and the couple lived in a cabin in the state of Amberino. They shared the work and were very happy. In 1899, the O'Driscolls showed up to her cabin. She hides in the cellar while her husband gets murdered by them. 3 members of the Van der Linde gang show up to her house: Arthur, Dutch, and Micah. They are rivals with the O'Driscolls. Once the 2 groups realize who the other is, they start firing. There is a huge shootout outside the cabin. Micah is tasked with searching the cabin, and he finds Sadie. Sadie goes after him with a knife, and Micah eggs her on. Dutch and Arthur eventually show up and try to help Sadie. Micah knocks over a lantern and starts a fire that burns the cabin down. So the gang takes Sadie in and try to help her the best they can. During Horseshoe Overlook, Sadie doesn't do much. We can often find her mourning her husband in peace. In Chapter 3, Arthur intervenes in an argument between Pearson and Sadie due to her wanting to do something instead of chopping vegetables. Arthur agrees to take her down to do some errands in Rhodes. When they get there, Arthur posts a letter for Pearson, while Sadie buys supplies and a new outfit from the general store. On the way back to camp, they are stopped by some Lemoyne raiders. Arthur and Sadie fight them off, and they get safely back to camp. She doesn't have any other missions in this chapter. In Chapter 4, in the mission Horsemen, Apocalypses, Sadie asks Dutch when she can go robbing with them. When the O'Driscolls attack Shady Belle, Arthur keeps telling Sadie to get inside, but she refuses, opting to stay outside and help the gang with the O'Driscolls. After the disastrous bank robbery in Saint Denis, Sadie rounds up all the women and non-gunmen of the group and takes them down to Linde. Her and some other gang members steal the bodies of Hosea and Lenny and bury the 2 in Blue Water Marsh. After the return of the gang, she helps fight off the Pinkertons with everyone else. When Dutch refuses to break John out of jail, Sadie agrees to help Arthur break him out. Sadie asks Arthur to meet her in Saint Denis. When they meet in Saint Denis, she tells Arthur that they need to make sure that John is still on Sisika Penitentiary. To do that, Arthur rides in a hot air balloon. After he gets a view of John, he gets out of there. When he's riding back, he sees Sadie fighting O'Driscolls. Arthur helps Sadie take him out. The 2 agree to meet at Copperhead Landing to go break John out. The 2 infiltrate Sisika. John wasn't working in the fields that day, and they had to break him out of the cell block. They took a guard hostage, and Arthur demands for John, or he will kill the guard. The trio manage to shoot their way out of there and escape. At some point, Como Driscoll is arrested and sentenced to being hung. With Arthur, Dutch, and Sadie sabotaging the O'Driscoll's rescue attempt, Combe is successfully hung. Sadie opens fire, even though Combe is dead, and leads to a firefight. Near the end of Chapter 6, Sadie asks Arthur to help to kill the remaining O'Driscolls once and for all. Arthur accepts, and they head down to Hanging Dog Ranch. Sadie requests that if Arthur sees a fat man with a beard, that he should let Sadie kill him. We can only assume that this man killed Jake Adler. When Sadie finds him, she brutally kills him and finishes the O'Driscolls. In the final mission of the game, Abigail gets captured by Agent Milton, and Arthur and Sadie go to rescue her. Sadie eventually gets herself captured by Milton, and Arthur is forced to confront Milton himself. Milton sneaks up behind Arthur and holds him at gunpoint and is in a perfect situation to kill him. But Abigail escapes and shoots Milton in the side of the head. Arthur tells Sadie to take Abigail to Copperhead Landing. John eventually gets to Copperhead Landing too, and before they part ways, they vow one day to kill Micah if they find him. Several years after the gang falls apart, Sadie becomes a successful bounty hunter. In 1907, she sends a telegram to Pronghorn Ranch telling John to meet her in the Valentine Saloon. They go on many bounty hunts, including Nathan Kirk, Shane Finley, Ramon Cortez, and Marshall Thurwell. Sometime later, Sadie appears at the Marsons Ranch and tells John that she found Micah. Charles, John, and Sadie go after him. At the top of Mount Hagen, it gets in a standoff with Sadie, Micah, John, and Dutch. Dutch eventually shoots Micah, leading to John finishing Micah. After returning to the ranch, Sadie attends John and Abigail's wedding, and she leaves the ranch, probably going off to South America, as she mentioned before. Her fate is left unknown in the end. Sadie was a complicated character, because at the end of Arthur's story, she was obsessed with revenge against the O'Driscolls. During the beginning of Arthur's story, she spent her days mourning her husband, and in the epilogue, she was a cold-blooded killer. We can see how the trauma shaped her and how it molded her into what she became at the end of the story. On to the next character, Simon Pearson. Now, I do feel a little bad for putting Pearson in this category, but he does fit here. He's the camp cook and does a lot of cleaning around camp. Overall, Pearson does fit in this category. Pearson was born into a family of whale hunters and initially wanted to follow in their footsteps. But by the time he was out of school, there was no market for whale hunters anymore. Pearson served as a sailor in the U.S. Navy. It is unknown for how long. He mentions the story of him being stranded at sea for 50 days. At some point prior to 1897, he got into financial trouble and became the butcher and cook for the Van der Linde gang after they rescued him from loan sharks. When the gang arrives at Coulter, Pearson is seen assisting Susan Grimshaw setting up camp. A few days later, Pearson tells Arthur that there is no food. Arthur is unsympathetic at first, but eventually goes out hunting deer with Charles. The pair come back with 2 deer. Arthur and Pearson skin them. When the gunmen of the group go out to Ewing Basin, Pearson, Hosea, and Charles look over camp. Shortly after setting up at Horseshoe Overlook, Pearson says that the food supplies are still low, and he asks his fellow gang members to go hunting and start contributing. During Chapter 3, Pearson has a heated argument with Sadie Adler, who wants to do more around the camp. Later on, Pearson tells Dutch and Arthur that he came across some O'Driscolls.
Where's Dutch?
Well, however it goes.
I'm not sure all that line of thought serves you and me very well.
That's because, Cowpoke, you are a man of profoundly limited intelligence.
No doubt.
Well, you and the old man and Dutch have been running around, digging us ever deeper into shit. Old Mr. Pearson might have gone and lightened the load a little. Pearson! Ain't you curious?
I guess. Gentlemen.
Dutch, you tell him, fat man.
It's peace, Dutch. The O'Driscolls. I think there's a way.
What on earth are you talking about?
Get the words out properly, fat man.
I met a couple of the O'Driscoll boys on the road in the town, and things were about to get ugly. But you know how I am in a fight, huh? Like a cornered tiger. Anyway, somehow it didn't, but we got to talking, and they suggested a parlay to end things. Like gentlemen.
Gentlemen. Combe O'Driscoll. Have you lost your minds?
You're always telling us, Dutch. Do what has to be done, but don't fight wars ain't worth fighting.
They want a parley? It's a trap.
Well, of course, it's probably a trap, but what do we got to lose finding out?
Get shot.
We ain't getting shot because you'll be protecting us. It's a trap, you shoot the lot of them. If it ain't a trap, that's slim chance.
I don't see the point in any of this.
It's a chance you've gotta take.
I killed Combs' brother. A long time ago. Then he killed a woman I loved dear.
As you say, it's a long time ago, Dutch.
Let's go. You and me, with Arthur protecting us, no one else.
What about me?
This ain't the time for tigers, my friend.
This turns out to be a trap, one that took Arthur. They had Arthur beaten and almost killed, but Arthur narrowly escaped. Pearson later apologizes to Arthur when he returns to camp. I don't know of anything of note that Pearson does in Chapter 4, so we'll skip to Chapter 5. Pearson greets Arthur when he returns to camp. In Chapter 6, Pearson becomes increasingly unhappy with the gang's situation. He is seen around camp drinking. As the gang slowly collapses, Pearson runs with Mary-Beth, Karen, and Uncle. In the end, Pearson gets to live a happy life running the Rhodes General Store. He marries a woman named Ethel and keeps a photograph of the gang close to his counter. John can regularly visit Pearson, who will express joy to see him. Pearson was loud and jolly and kept trying to help the gang survive. Whether he knew his value or not, he wasn't respected, but still tried to keep the gang stocked up on food. On to the final character in this section, Susan Grimshaw. Susan is one of the original gang members, along with Arthur, Dutch, and Hosea. At some point, Susan became romantically involved with Dutch, remaining on good terms with him, even though they obviously didn't stay romantic. By 1899, along Simon Pearson, she is tasked with setting up camp every time the gang moves. She is responsible for making sure every gang member does their chores, making sure that Arthur stays clean, cleaning tables, and organizing camp. If any one of the gang members fails to attend to their duties, she yells at them for being lazy. When the gang first arrives at Coulter, she helps organize camp and each gang member's rooms. While the gang is in Coulter, she mostly is seen in the abandoned schoolhouse with the rest of the gang. After setting up camp, Susan escorts Arthur to his tent and informs him that all his stuff from Blackwater was saved apart from his money. Throughout the chapters, she can be found doing chores and making sure that everyone is pulling their weight. After Arthur brings a drunken Swanson back to camp, Susan thanks him and promises to watch over him. She also informs Arthur that a letter from Mary Linton arrived for him, and that Hosea has a lead in Emerald Ranch. After relocating to Clements Point, she once again helps set up camp. After Arthur returns to the camp after being beaten by the O'Driscolls, she sits with him for a while, telling Arthur he will be alright. After the Pinkertons show up to camp, Grimshaw says that Dutch's new friends should leave now. Once again in Chapter 4, Susan organizes the camp. In the mission No, No, and Thrice No, Arthur has a conversation with Mary-Beth, cut off by Grimshaw, who asks Arthur to help investigate Tilly's disappearance. She believes that she was kidnapped by the Foreman brothers, a gang that Tilly used to ride with. The two ride up to the safe house, where they find Tilly, and eventually chase down the three that have fled. Arthur chases them down and shoots them all, except Anthony Foreman, instead bringing him back to Tilly and Grimshaw. Susan will encourage Arthur to slit his throat. Through this mission, we see that Grimshaw cares deeply about each one of her girls. During the O'Driscolls' attack, Grimshaw can be seen holding them back with a shotgun when she goes inside from Dutch's orders. Afterwards, Dutch tells Susan and Pearson to move the dead bodies out of the camp. We don't see much of her in Chapter 5, so we'll move to Chapter 6. As the gang sets up in Beaver Hollow, Uncle comes back with a drunken Molly O'Shea. She repeatedly insults Dutch and the rest of the gang, and tells everyone that she told the Pinkertons about the bank job. Dutch pulls out his revolver in anger, but Arthur attempts to stop him from shooting by claiming she was a fool who isn't worth his time. Before Arthur can say anything else, Susan shoots Molly in the stomach with a shotgun, killing her instantly. She says that she knew the rules and orders Mr. Pearson and Bill to burn her body. Most of the gang believes that Molly got what she deserved, but some believe that Grimshaw is a murderer. Later on, as the gang is packing up, Arthur shows up back to camp. He informs everyone that Micah ratted out the gang, and that Milton told him that Molly never even ratted out the gang. Micah denies Arthur's claims, which starts a standoff. Susan takes Arthur's side, along with John. When Javier comes into camp to tell the gang that the Pinkertons were coming, Micah shoots Susan in the stomach, and she quickly succumbs to her wound, with Arthur and John not able to help her, and Dutch not even acknowledging her death. Charles Smith returned later and buried Susan's body near the Elysian Pool on a cliff nearby with her necklace around the cross. Susan was a motherly figure to many in the gang, especially Arthur. She always helped around camp, even though she had attitude when others didn't help out. That didn't make her rude. We can easily see her caring nature towards those in the gang, and her death was so tragic, how no one even acknowledged it. One of the original gang members dead alongside the gang. Well, that's the women in Pearson. So many tragic characters.